I came to Cambridge, I attended William Farr Comprehensive School, which was sort of a state school in Lincolnshire, and I did for my A levels. Got to remember now, RE History, English, and then I did AS level French. To complete my undergraduate, I did another year of studies, so I did the sort of MPhil degree. Was clinging on to a bit more student life, I think, and then after that, I was part of the local government graduate scheme. So it's called the National Graduate Development Programme, and that's sort of to encourage graduates into local government, and you do sort of typically 6 months in different departments across a 2-year period, get a sort of diploma in leadership and management, and sort of have a whole host of events that are organised through the local government association, but you're actually based in a sort of local authority. You kind of pick to a certain extent in terms of the areas you want to be part of. And then following that, I sort of progressed into the kind of role I now in, which is kind of a project manager role, generally leading and delivering on sort of capital projects, so new buildings. So at the moment, I'm responsible for creating new leisure centres, really. Coming from, I guess, sort of Lincolnshire and a state school background, I think you have kind of a conception, I guess, that it would be quite elitist and posh, would probably be, to be quite frank, yeah, perhaps that I wouldn't fit in, and was kind of quite nervous going into that environment. But all of the staff, both at Selwyn and within the faculty, super friendly, and always supported me throughout my time. And again, the college environment, I think pick your college wisely, because that becomes really your kind of home almost. So again, I was lucky to meet lots of lovely people in that college environment. I think Selwyn's got quite a high state school percentage as well. And generally, I think no matter your background, people are always generally very friendly, and you find that, you know, people with similar interests as well throughout your time. So, and it was, you know, I think the opportunity to sort of study at that level and to be sort of in lectures and one-on-one sessions with, you know, professors and research persons that have got such a huge amount of knowledge, just kind of inspires and ignites ideas, which I think is probably second to none anywhere else as well. This is a difficult question because I actually have an appalling memory. Gosh, most memorable thing. It's quite hard because it's kind of now sort of quite a blurred, rose-tinted element. I think. I think there's lots of highlights in terms of things you can get involved with. So I did a lot of university sport. So I did quite a few netball varsity matches, which are always great fun, given the continued rivalry between the Oxford and Cambridge, which is good fun. I think, you know, there's lots of events as well to get involved with, like the fact there's kind of May balls, which are obviously ridiculous parties that you couldn't even imagine, I think, before you came to Cambridge. So they were pretty memorable as well. And I think being able to work with, you know, do your kind of work alongside such inspirational people as well. You know, I did kind of philosophy and did quite a lot of work with Catherine Pickstock, who's, you know, very inspirational, and it's always amazed me how such sort of amazing individuals give so much time to sort of students, even from the sort of very first year that you start. So I've not really answered that with most memorable, but hard to remember a few years down the line. You develop probably a range of skills because it's such a broad subject. So particularly with the philosophy, I think it sort of helps you with that critical thinking and problem solving and weighing up evidence. And so that's really helpful in terms of, for me in the workplace, weighing up different evidence, working through different options and making decisions or making recommendations to senior people. I think in terms of that kind of understanding of different cultures, different religions, different backgrounds, that's really important whenever you're engaging with anyone, really, in terms of any communication, and particularly now that there's kind of an element of design, how that, you know, different groups are impacted by different things. And again, I think the kind of, with any Cambridge degree, you always have a huge amount of work. So being able to obviously deliver that work and manage your time and your priorities, I mean, incredibly useful for the workplace as well. So I think, yeah, there's a huge amount of skills that you develop that are relevant to lots of jobs. It was a sort of a good starting place to know whether it was the right place for me, was that I went to the kind of open day event on theology and religious studies, and I think just being able to see, there was some sample lectures, and just being able to see some of those lectures, that kind of broadened my horizons and opened my mind so much. I was like, wow, this is really something I want to kind of get involved with. So that for me was kind of a point that confirmed this subject was the right subject for me. And also I met, as I said, sort of some professors and directors of studies and elements there. So that kind of helped with discussion with them, direct me to which college I wanted to choose. I think if you can have discussions, my tip would be, I think if you can have discussions with people who are in the faculty, or even if contact a member of staff, just to understand which maybe college would be best suited for you, because I think that's quite important, because that forms part of your life at Pixel, and also in part because it's quite a high state school percentage, and I kind of felt like that I'd fit in more there. And I think for me, once I'd gone through that process, I was really quite passionate about it. And I think if you're passionate about what you want to study, then that will come across in your personal statement or interview, because you'll be wanting to do reading in the particular areas that interest you. And that would be, those would be my tips. So I had done AS level French, which helped a little bit. So I'd sort of done a bit of language, I suppose, but I have to say, I was quite daunted by the prospect, because particularly my school, we weren't very focused on grammar. It was sort of more about sort of speaking the language and absorbing the culture, which was obviously great fun, but coming to sort of a language which all of them, no matter the choice, are quite grammatical really, and obviously different lettering as well, which I found quite difficult. So I'm actually dyslexic as well. But actually I picked Greek largely on the basis that there were 3 classes of Greek, so that implied it was easier than the others. And actually I think it was yeah, a great learning experience, because now any other language feels quite easy. And I think if you do the kind of work that the class is set and just work through it, it kind of is not as bad as it seems, even if it's initially quite daunting. 100% choose theology at Cambridge. Like, I absolutely loved the course, and I think the fact you can specialise in the areas you're interested in. So I adored philosophy and metaphysics, so I kind of went on to specialise in those areas, and also I was able to pick up some of other religions like Hinduism and Buddhism, but pick up sort of philosophical aspects in those. So I think it's great, because you get a huge diversity in your first year, and then you can go on and specialise and pick different papers that you like. And I know, compared to other friends that I had in other subjects, they didn't get quite that freedom of choice until maybe their final year. And I think the beauty of the theology and religious studies, and now philosophy of religion courses, that you do really get a great choice and can go down so many different routes.